Well,
Like, this is the knock on Jared Goff.
Yeah.
That he needs everything to be perfect.
Right.
And look, Jared Goff got to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So Draymond Green got everybody upset yesterday. The Warriors are not in the playoff picture for the West right now, but he is still very confident. And this week he raised eyebrows when he talked about where he thinks he ranks as an all-time elite defender.
All right.
I think I'm the best defender that ever played this game in NBA.
Do you?
That's just my 100%. That's my opinion. You know, when I look at all the facets that make up the defensive side of the ball, I think I'm great in every facet that makes up that side of the ball. And so I think I'm the best defender to ever play in the NBA. And I stand by that. I'll put myself up against anyone.
I don't know. I will say this. It is harder to... People think it's easier to defend today. The game's softer. I'd argue it's harder to defend now because wing guys, bigs, can shoot threes. It used to be you just had to wait to the big and the wing, like the forward, would just come to you. Now you got to go to him. So I think it is. And by the way, bigs now can dribble. Giannis dribbles.
Well, there's definitely... Everyone is much more
Athletic.
skilled.
Yes. No question.
Eccentric and comes into the league more skilled for those reasons. And a lot of that has to do with the team that he's on and Steph Curry stretching the court the way that he does. I mean, you could argue both sides. You could say it was harder to defend back in the day because players were much more physical, and then you could argue that defenders had an advantage because you could really foul somebody and they were not really calling fouls the way that they are now.
I feel like if I was an NBA defender, I would rather defend a guy in the 80s and 90s. If I was a big, tough Charles Oakley guy, you're going to come to me in the post, and if I'm a big, strong guy...
Yeah, you can maul you.
Okay. Now, if I'm Charles Oakley, I have to run out to the perimeter and guard him there, too. And, oh, by the way, he's a really good ball handler now. So I do think Draymond's argument is, look at what I have to defend now. These are, by the way, the game's now much more European. So we're getting the world's best players, not Marquette's.
Well, I mean, I don't like the idea that just because something's new, it can't be the best. Right? There's this addiction to the old school, especially when it comes to sports, and we romanticize past eras as thinking that they're better when in fact they're maybe just different. So something can be the best even though it is right now. Like Steph Curry can be the best shooter and three-point shooter of all time and still be playing right now.
Yeah.
You don't have to make the argument for a guy that played 30 years ago just out of like respect for the game. But I do think when you say yourself that you are the best at something that people take a lot of pride in,
people
you're
get pushed
going to
back.
get pushback,
Right.
like from Charles Oakley or Tony Allen. And then you're going to talk about, you know, Hakeem Olajuwon, excuse me, Dikembe Mutombo, Ben Wallace. Like, you're going to start putting yourself on lists. And then you're going to make the center of the argument. Now, Draymond probably doesn't care, which is why he said that, because he knows what people are going to react to. But it is kind of a fun debate, like who you rank. Because immediately I was like, Tony Allen? I don't know. I don't know about all
he's
that.
top 5. I don't have a problem. I don't think he is anymore, but I think in his peak about 4 years ago he was. To be honest with you, I think LeBron James is top 2 or 3. I think Michael Jordan.
Well, obviously, Michael
and LeBron are both great defenders.
Yeah.
Now, Bird and Magic weren't.
But Michael took pride in being good on the defensive side.
He was a great on-ball defender.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, you literally can find like one piece of video from Iverson where he got beat. I mean, that's good when they find the one guy that crossed you up. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line
Nick
News.
Wright, co-host First Things First, now joining me as he does every Wednesday. So Sean Kemp became a big star. Now, I had personal demons, but like 80% of Karl Malone's points were free throws or a boring pick and roll. Same with John Stockton. Isaiah Thomas was much more clever. Magic, the big smile. So if you look at the history of the NBA, who the biggest stars have been, it's not always been the best players, it's how they score. Magic Johnson was so unique. Larry Bird was the best shooting, best passing forward in the history of the game when he arrived. Then it was Michael, who was glamorous and good-looking and cool. There's been a lot of great players. Shaq, Steph Curry, you become the face of the league. That's what Zion Williamson has. Giannis, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, they'll give you a quiet 26. Zion's is a loud 25. It is memorable. It is Sean Kemp. It is loud. And right now, last night, they beat the Lakers. Zion's great. Do you know through 65 games in the last 40 years, the only player that scored more points was Michael Jordan. He's literally getting into Wilt and Michael Jordan territory. And right now, through 65 games, he has more points than LeBron did through 65 games. He's got more rebounds than LeBron did through 65 games. He's got a higher field goal percentage than LeBron did. He's got a higher three-point percentage than LeBron did. And LeBron was pretty good. LeBron dropped 40 multiple times in his rookie year. So the way you play in the NBA will determine a lot. It's not like that in soccer. It's not like that in baseball. Nobody cares. Get guys out, win 20 games, you win a Cy Young. But basketball is not. How do you score? And frankly, Zion, to me, now that LeBron's out for a month, he's the number one TV product. It's Steph and him. Those are the guys I rush to a TV to watch. And there is you get power, you get strength, you get forcefulness, you get all these really important things all jammed into one. Had Shawn Kemp had a better personal life, Shawn Kemp would have been a massive NBA star for 20 years. But he had his, personal foibles, and, don't we all? But when I watch Zion, I mean, his critics now look ridiculous. He is just must-see television. He is the face of the league that LeBron's hurt. It's nothing against Giannis or AD or Chris Paul. It's nothing against these guys. They're all great players, or Kawhi. But they're not necessarily great television products. And that, in more than any league, that matters. Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Jameis Winston spent most of his time on the bench watching Drew Brees last season, but now that Brees is retired, the path is open for him to win that starting spot, and he got emotional talking about how much of an impact Brees had on him in his 1 year together with him.
He doesn't even know how much he means to me and my family. For real. I love football. That's all I've done my entire life. And someone that I look up to, that I admire, that I actually could touch, was my teammate, and I had a chance to serve him. Like, man, I'm speechless to that. Like, that really gets me emotional, because I really love Drew Brees. Like, I don't think he understands.
I have this thing about grown men crying. It always makes me cry. I thought that was really nice. We watched Jameis, obviously in college and through many ups and downs in his career. And, one of the great things about sports is that when you do have a talent, and, we want to give people second chances. And I think he's gotten a great opportunity to learn from one of the best to ever do it. A teammate that everyone speaks that way about. We've seen other retirement ceremonies where people were retired. They're not going to play with Drew Brees anymore, and they cry about not being able to play with Drew Brees anymore.
Oh, I think we've seen like 4 guys cry. About Drew Brees, offensive linemen. No, I mean that's how he touched people.
Yeah, and that shows the impact that he has. But I mean, we also talked to Taysom Hill at the Super Bowl last year. We had him on set back when we could do that, and he was talking about how what it is like to learn the process that Drew Brees does. Like, there's something to being said. Like, the guys always say, like, oh, he's the first one there, he's the first one to leave. Like, we kind of throw that out a lot. But, like, are you literally the first one there and the last one to leave at your job? Like, probably not. And he doesn't get extra money because he does that. Unless he's compensated very well. But he doesn't have to do that. Like, that was something that people always said about Kobe. Like, Kobe is in the gym. If he tells you that he's working out with you, you need to get there 2 hours early, because he's going to be an hour early or 2 hours early, and you don't want to get to the gym after Kobe. There's something to learning from an all-time great, and obviously the talent doesn't transfer, but learning the process of how to do something does transfer into longevity.
No question.
And that you are what you habitually do. So if you're learning from somebody who does things well habitually, and that rubs off on you, that can help your career. But I do see Jameis as the starter next season. So Mac Jones had a strong showing at his Alabama Pro Day yesterday. Reps from all 32 NFL teams were in attendance to watch him. Jones wasn't that impressed with his performance, saying he could have thrown it better and was frustrated with the few that he missed. But Daniel Jeremiah reported that he thought Jones had a solid workout, describing him as smooth, comfortable, and poised. I know you are very...
I don't want to be a negative guy. I don't want to get too much into, he was a little faster than people thought. I just don't think, like, if you're a trust fund kid, that you're going to struggle in your life if you get into chaotic situations and you have to overcome stuff. because you're not built to overcome it. There's a reason none of these Alabama quarterbacks work. They never trail. Mac Jones didn't trail in the second half of any game he played last year. Oh, by the way, he never got hit. Oh, by the way, his receivers are wide open. Oh, by the way, he always had a better game plan. I'm not saying you can't work, but you start looking at what works in the NFL.